That was really, really interesting. I think I should probably explain what I've done first, because otherwise it could be a little bit weird. So I kind of took the ideas behind these pieces. I especially like the black and the white in them, and the idea of like involving the audience in the narrative. So mine is based on kind of changing of pace to convey action. And through creating fragments to then form a whole narrative in the same way that you've kind of taken moments to then have all the backstory and stuff. And I wanted to play with the element of mystery that you had involved. So I've set this in Rome, and there's a lot of themes of darkness and shadow and mist and a kind of cliffhanger kind of ending. And in much the same way as lenses and mirrors and distort things, I kind of distorted your work, basically. So I apologise for that in advance, because what I've done is I had a look at your photos, and I really liked the bars and the light and the women, and so I had a look at different photographers, and so Owen Blumenfeld came to mind. Especially in terms of like the diffusion of light and kind of capturing kind of the essence of people and really classic kind of women. So this is about his kind of last day, which again I feel feeds into what you were saying about having only like a moment and then not perhaps getting the whole backstory and stuff. So so I hope you like it, basically. I don't think it's too cheeky of me to compare you to him, but there we go. So so I'll start. So Rome, July 4th, 1969. The city is slumbering, its slatted shutters braced against the chill of the night in the air. Down cobbled streets, the smallest noise ricochets, amplified by the silence and the closeness of stone walls. The streets tangle across each other and are caught by squares that break the weaving streets. These pathways evolve rapidly, springing up overnight as mushrooms do on damp, calm nights as last night was. They are stacked up and trying to grow across each other, enmeshed into a latticework of human habitation that has lasted over 2 millennia. In the morning light, the domes of the old city seem a part of the sky. They are the same as the silvery grey that exists pre-dawn and seem to funnel the sky down into the city through their tiles. The delivery vans are trundling through the streets, delivering clunky milk urns and loaves of bread still steaming from the heats of the ovens that were lit when the sky was still mostly black this morning. Delivery drivers are lighting up cigarettes and smoking them while leaning back in doorways that arch around their forms and shield them from the sunlight that is beginning to trickle down the streets. They rub their hands together and stuff them into the wool of their jumpers beneath their armpits until the ash grows too long. In an apartment on the 5th floor above the chemist that is 3 doors away from Madame Brigitte's famous florist, whose floral arrangements have graced tables at grand events as far away as Monaco, Owen Blumenfeld is awake. Owen has barely slept. Sleep grazed his eyelids briefly at around 2 a.m. when the couple in the flat below finally shifted from staccato bursts of arguing that shot up through the gaps between the old wooden floorboards to the slapping of the bed frame against the wall. He dresses in his new shirt, buttoning it up firmly across his old man's stomach, dusted with silver hairs and wrinkles covered by his vest. He tucks his penis into cotton boxes and counts again as he arranges himself. 1, 2, 3, an anomaly. A hard rap at his mortality. His stomach flipped the first time he felt its hard mass as he urinated onto the ochre-tinged porcelain of the public toilets of Piazza Nirvana. He is used to this guest in his own body now, though. It is ushering him onwards. Onwards he grimaces and tucks his legs into his crisp suit that has hung on the back of the door for 2 days, since he saw it in the shop, reminding him of the disembodied shadow against the pale linens of the other summer suits. His pale feet slip out of the tube of dark fabric, and he winces at their gnarled shapes. He is not Peter Pan. He cannot reattach his shadow with stitches, and he can't unpick time. He shrugs his shoulders into the suit, does up his tie, and dips his hat to his mirror twin, an ashen-faced duplicate sheened like wax from the sweat coating his face. The streets form themselves from the mist, solidifying shadows and unravelling as he walks down them. The streets are burnt out from the moisture as the sun rises and sheds its rays on the city. His hands bounce off the rough walls, the stone gnawing his palm. He whistles offbeat as he dances down alleyways and spirals out into the main streets of the city. The vans idle at the curb, their engines thrumming, spewing deliveries into stores and shops, and he walks by with his steps skipping and vaulting over the cobbles. His ankle nearly turns and turns and turns in the mirror, spewing out tiny versions of the dancers in the cramped ballrooms with the faded orange curtains that stank of must, when he tangled Lena up in them for a rushed moment of frantic kissing. Him slipping his hand up her body from her waist and his thumb rubbing the curve of her breast as their tongues slide across each other, their breath hot, and all he could taste was her, and the dust of the curtains and the wine from earlier in the evening soured at the back of her throat as their kisses grew wilder and his lips began to swell and to hurt from her sharp teeth in solid lines, wide smiles that gleamed between cushioned, slick lipstick mouths that looked like wide, fresh cuts across the models' faces. Tears in blank, perfect faces, a hole through to white lines that arise from the darkness of their mouths. Hold that pose. Again. Tilt your chin lower, lower. Smile, please. A bit wider. Open your eyes. Hold that. Lower, lower. Women lowering themselves onto his crotch later, after hours of posing, rearranging, angling lights across the planes of their faces and curved limbs, until the women resembled newer forms of beauty that he alone could bring out. His wedding ring coiled round his finger, he murmured into their hair that his wife understood. He could take them all. He lost himself in the swooping necks and tangled hair he tugged from lack of loops as Flash had bounced off earlier. He undid them after catching them, these static women caught in focus of that moment in the studio, his landscape of perfection, his landscape of reflection, unmarked by time. Slick and sleek and black and white, he preserved them in the carapace of photographic film, tinkering with them in the dark rooms coated in red light that deepens all the shadows as though he is working underwater. Water poured across the white curves, silk held to her skin and stretched out as a second birthing behind a membrane, her breasts rising, white from the darkness he filters through the image. He thinks of water lilies on a still pond blooming slowly. She tilts her body and they spread beneath the silk. He keeps her eyes back, lips and nose poke through. She's only half-formed, half woman, half water, spreading, pooling across taut silk, pulling against the surface. Pouring chemicals across trays, he tilts in his darkrooms. It is magic he performs in the baths. He sluices blank sheets in clear liquid, shaking their images out from where they hide behind the white surface of the photographic paper, coaxing them out as he washes away the white that holds them back. He is an artist. He has painted them with light, turning women into tigers grazed with shadow scars across the features, a fur they do not own, a fur he has given them in his studio, and the bars he has stationed to throw shadows across their skin, pearls at their throats and their irises inverted. He has caught the very shape of the thing itself, cupped it in the thick glass of his lens, like the dewdrops on cobwebs that hold the entire landscape within their curves when he peered down at one on his morning walk. He walks slowly now, stopping his dance as his feet drag against the flagstones of the main street. He's getting closer to the main square. The cold smell of the Tiber still hangs in the air. Dark brown wood shutters are swinging open. Shopkeepers unfurling canopies to shield their shops from the glare of the sun. Horse-drawn carts clatter down the streets. Drivers smoke thin cigarettes. Life moves around him fluidly. The people passing by chattering in Italian he only catches half the meaning of. Half a lifetime been spent with Lena, cradled in her strong arms, he slept curled inside, seeing her skin turn from a sheen of moonlight on frozen lakes to curdled milk after their children had stretched her belly, 1 and a 2, 3 times. A waltz of babies, baby steps, teething screams, toddler wobbling steps, steps he is climbing now in 1969, running away from all that, running up the Spanish steps to the church, spire breaching the sky with its twinkling gold tip, the blue of the sky still holding, saved by the trick of distance. Distance he keeps from his sons, post-divorce, post-arguing, post-marriage of his ex-mistress to his eldest, post-restarting, tripping, scorching sunlight on the neck, post-immigration, post-Vogue, post-Doro, post-Dear Heart, post-Daddy Please, post-Echo, post-Possible, post-Rock Sheets, post-Picture Perfect, post-Stumbling, choking, he crowding, mouth opening, heart thumping, falling.